Is it just me? Or is it getting crazier out there?
ScreenRanters, welcome back into our sweet pop culture-filled embrace. DC are in a weird position where two Jokers are running about in their cinematic universe.
Oh, we have got company.
While DC have stated that Joaquin Phoenix's Joker isn't in the main continuity of films,
But I don't believe you think that.
and we have a load of inarguable evidence to show that Phoenix's Joker is actually in the DCEU. On top of that, Jared Leto's Joker is also in the continuity still.
You left me in a black hole of rage and confusion.
And two Batmen and Robert Pattinson and Ben Affleck. Gosh, we spoil you. So paint your face like a clown and join us today for a theory that will rock your socks. Na Joker!
Oh, how delicious it is!
Wait, that didn't sound right. Isn't it meant to involve a more, broody character? Oh well, too late to change that. If the Joker isn't eating the population of China or tricking Superman to set off a nuclear bomb, comics Joker's a scallywag. Then he can now be found dancing on some steps in the DCEU. The last time the Joker and Batman appeared on screen, they were portrayed by different actors, those being Jared Leto in 2016's Suicide Squad and Ben Affleck in 2017's Justice League. So how can all these actors be in the same continuity? To start with, the director of the Joker flick, Todd Phillips, has let slip about the plans for the Joker franchise. Originally, the film was going to be a standalone movie away from the DCEU. However, Phillips stated in interviews that he would love to do a sequel to the Joker, leading to speculation that Phoenix may just pop up in the DCEU soon, especially if the film is a critical and commercial success. Get this, apparently, money is important in the film business, right? Crazy! Later on, Phillips did go on to clarify that any future of Phoenix's portrayal won't be included in the DCEU. Instead, it'll remain its own self-contained universe. But is Phillips doing damage control for his Tom Holland-esque slip? Or is he simply stating facts? We know which we choose to believe, the first one, if that wasn't obvious. But Phillips isn't the only DC employee to divulge some secret info. Robert Pattinson also put his bat foot into his bat mouth. During an interview with Variety, Pattinson makes a comment, only to immediately ask for it to be retracted. While the exact quote isn't provided, Variety were kind enough to let us know what the content was about. It turns out, it involved Phoenix's Joker, which gets us suspicious. Why would such a comment need to be retracted? Pattinson stated that he hadn't seen the Joker film at the time, so it couldn't involve any spoilers for the film, so that leaves only one possibility left. There are plans for Phoenix's Joker to arrive in Pattinson's Batman film. So DC pretends that the Joker is a movie all on its own, but instead add a Phoenix clown surprise in Pattinson's film, which Pattinson almost ruined the surprise for. Those sneaky filmmakers. As far as we know at the moment, Pattinbat will be in the main continuity. Pattinbat? Surely Pattinson makes more sense. Which makes this mistake a key piece of evidence. DC doesn't shy away from adding films in at different periods of time. Take the first Wonder Woman film. The events in that film happened during World War I, where Gal Gadot laid the smackdown in Germany. The sequel to that hugely successful film is called Wonder Woman 1984. The film's events will be set in 1984. We're imagining a lot of Hairspray and Culture Club in this sequel. The DC library also has modern-day films like Justice League and Shazam.
What did you do to me? What did you do to my voice?
The Joker film is going to be set around 1981, a whole 35 years before Leto's Joker pops up in the first Suicide Squad.
Oh, there she is.
Which pours water on the idea that his Joker and Leto's Joker are the same. Or does it?
You're a little pain in the ass.
Yes, it does. Seeing his future Leto Joker looks younger than Phoenix, even though Leto is actually older than Phoenix. Well, that's some good genes. But it doesn't mean the two characters aren't connected. We know that the DCEU still exists. It hasn't been terminated or been forced to start over again.
Shouldn't we have a league of our own?
Thanks to Wonder Woman, Shazam, and Aquaman, the DC film machine is still churning.
Permission to come aboard.
Many DC projects are in the works. We could still be looking at a true rival to the MCU.
Why would I be scared?
So far, it's been a one-horse race in the superhero genre. However, DC is starting to get into the swing of things. As it's still going, we know there isn't a hard reboot on the table. the current continuity is still taken over, which means Leto's Joker still exists in some fashion, as well as Batfleck. Otherwise, the Justice League have to pretend that Batman has always looked and sounded like Robert Pattinson, which, to be honest, would be pretty hilarious.
My point exactly.
We know that Leto isn't finished with his role as the Joker, even if the recent announcement of the cast of the Suicide Squad has dashed some hopes. Fans were quick to notice that Leto's name wasn't included. Even Will Smith won't be returning to the franchise as Deadshot. However, the two thespians may appear in a cameo or as a surprise inclusion in James Gunn's version. But let's take it at face value and believe Leto won't be there. It's still not the end for him. He's still involved in not one, but two DC unnamed projects. One being a solo Joker film, the other being a film involving Robbie's Harley Quinn. The second is going to be a weird love story of sorts. We're not sure how that'll work, especially as the Birds of Prey film synopsis involves Quinn breaking away from her pudding.
I'm so fucking over clowns.
But it doesn't end the opportunity to add Leto into that film in a minor capacity, simply by adding scenes into Birds of Prey of Quinn standing up against the Joker. But if this doesn't happen, maybe he'll arrive in another Quinn-related film, that being the Gotham City Sirens. With Leto's continued employment in DC, it leaves Phoenix in a strange limbo of sorts. How can a middle-aged Joker from the 80s be added into the modern day? Will we get an old man Joker that complains about the younger generation as his nefarious plan is thwarted by Batman? Actually, that'd be pretty great. But there are a few ideas on how to tie everything together with a pretty continuity-laced bow. The obvious answer for DC fans would be Lazarus Pit. In case you didn't know, it's a pool of water that heals injuries and restores youth. It's also a curse for being unalive. It's pretty handy. Phoenix's Joker could go skinny dipping in the pit, which would keep him young forever. Then have Leto's Joker being a fake of some kind. But that whole idea seems a little easy. We don't do easy at ScreenRant. The DCEU could use a sliding timeline, meaning that real-time decades don't take as long within the continuity and vice versa. It could be similar to the comics of Marvel and DC. This concept allows their ancient heroes to look fresh-faced forever. In reality, Spider-Man would be swinging around New York with a walker by now. Even though the events of the Joker happened in the 80s with the sliding timeline, only a couple of years would pass in continuity by the modern-day films, instead of the 35 years that it should be.
I'm an idea.
Another idea is to have two continuities going at the same time. On one side, we have Bat and Phoenix. The other has Batfleck and Leto. Like Earth 1 and Earth 2. Both would have their own universes to play in. But this notion wouldn't tie them together, which defeats the whole point of the theory, so we can ignore this one for now too. Instead, we have an idea that involves jumping timelines and whatnot. So get your calculators out. As we mentioned, a child Bruce Wayne is set to be in the Joker film. This shows a connection to our modern-day Caped Crusader. If we jump forward in time from the Joker film by 10 or so years, Bruce would be in his 20s. This is where Pattinson comes in.
Get in the car.
His Batman films could be set in the 90s, where he faces off against Phoenix. The two could do their battle to the sounds of Hanson. Imagine Pat and Bat fighting a load of thugs as bop plays. We'd love it already. If we jump forward roughly 20 years, we now have Affleck playing middle-aged Wayne. This gives us the modern-day films. It'll give Pattinson a chance to explore how he would later become the more brutal version of Batman. Jeez, Bruce, who hurt you? Well, actually, that's a question that Pattinson can tell us during his origin. While this ties Affleck and Pattinson together, it hasn't helped Leto and Phoenix. Until now. In the Joker trailer, we see the Joker amasses quite a large following. Many citizens decide to follow his path. But by the time of the Batman and Joker feud in the 90s, his following may increase more. By mistake/on purpose, Batman may end up slaying the failed comedian. With a big smiling clown void left behind, one of his followers may want to keep the Joker mantle going. So up steps Jared Leto's Joker. Or maybe we could see a tighter familial connection. Perhaps one that involves Phoenix's Joker having a child. We see in the Joker trailer that he has a potential love interest. Maybe they'll bump uglies and create little Leto. Once Phoenix kicks that Batman bucket, his son may look for revenge. He'll assume the identity of his father and become the new Clown Prince of Crime. Or Or maybe the films will take inspiration from a comic story. In DC's Darkseid War, Batman gets to put his bat tush in the Mobius chair. This chair is usually operated by Metron, a new god. It allows him to observe the universe. It can also be used as an accurate Wikipedia to answer any question in the universe. Our chairs at ScreenRant can only recline a little. Most of the fabric is worn off. We're mostly sitting on jagged plastic now. It hurts. Anyway, once Batman hunkers down in the device, he asks it a question. He wants to know who the Joker actually is. As Joker's origin isn't confirmed exactly, just a load of possible origins that don't add up. Instead of getting a straightforward answer, the chair discloses that there are 3 variations of the Joker running wild. Perhaps the films will follow a similar path in that regard. In the DCEU, there could be many Jokers running about and getting up to mischief. With their insanity and mutual passion for destruction's sake. Those rascals! Maybe the films can take even more inspiration from the comics. We could get Phoenix or Leto's versions attempting to copyright fish. Yep, comics could be a weird entertainment medium, but also delightful. And that's a wrap. Did we fill you up with some delicious DC delectables? Wow, that sounded really creepy. But it had alliteration, so that makes it okay? Anyway, did you like the theory? How about the possible ways in tying everything together? Fancy destroying our well-crafted idea? Then comment below with your noggin thoughts. If you enjoyed the video, then we have some fun tasks for you. Subscribe, ring the bell, click like, and share the video to everyone.